In Memphis, we know a thing or two about resilience. From the grindhouse to the Delta, we protect what's ours. But when pests invade your home, it's time to fight back. Grade A Pest knows how to handle what crawls, flies, and bites. With local experience and guaranteed results.
I'm Reggie with Grade A Pest Control. We service the Memphis metro area. That also includes DeSoto and Fayette County as well.
Grade A Pest has the entire Mid-South covered. So if bugs and pests put you to the test, let Grade A solve your problem. In Memphis, nothing comes easy, and that's exactly how we like it. This is a city built on hustle, on heart, on grit. And at Carway, our rides are built the same way. Tough, reliable, ready for the grind. No games, no gimmicks, just Memphis-style service. Real, honest, and built on trust. Where grit meets grind, you meet your next ride. Carway, grit, grind, and pink beetles. Bluff City Media presents Tigers Live with Francis Carlotta. Join Francis after every Memphis Tiger game as he breaks down each matchup, player of the game, and upcoming games. Now, let's get to the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Tigers Live. I'm your host, Francis Carlotta, joined by Kenny Stubblefield, and that was abysmal. The Tigers lose 59-74 against Wichita State on the road today. We're joined by Roman Cleary as well. Roman, what the hell was that? Talk to us.
It was bad from the start there. It's another bad performance for Memphis. Started out well technically. They've scored the first 4 points of the game, but then they proceeded to allow a 29-4 run over the ensuing 12 minutes and 43 seconds. Which somehow, some way tops the 26-4 run they allowed to end the Tulsa game.
All right, so the math.
The game was over from there.
Roman, do the math for me.
Sure.
What was the run today? The 4-0 run. They were up 4-0, and then they what run happened after that?
It was 29-4.
Okay, 29-4. The last 7 minutes of the game against your boys,
Tulsa was 26-4. It was 26-4.
26 plus 29. Someone did math. You've done math classes sooner. Sooner than I. What is that?
So in that entire stretch, like say, if you combine the last 7 minutes of the Tulsa game and the entire first half today, Memphis was outscored 66-26 in that span.
Yeah, that's not good.
Like,
that's not good.
Oh, like
yeah,
I don't.
That's not going to get it done, ladies and gentlemen. That's just not going to do it.
Like that's almost unfathomable. Like I don't understand how that happens. Like how do you follow up an absolute ass kicking in the final 7 minutes of a Tulsa game, where you have the game, you know. The momentum is completely in your favor on the road. You are absolutely doing everything like you are starting to push away, and then all of a sudden it falls off a cliff. And then to start the game, the next game, it continues to fall further down the cliff. Like I don't understand what happened there. Like I don't understand.
It's an avalanche, Kenny. It was a full-on avalanche.
Yeah.
When it snows, it pours.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny you bring that up, Roman. Last night, just chilling with my wife, I watched this video of rescue dogs in Oregon who they save people from avalanches. And I was like, oh, this is a wonderful video. This is cool. I didn't think I'd watch an avalanche today, and there was no one to save Memphis in this game.
They left 15
nobody.
Tigers behind.
Yeah, like that. There, nobody could have saved the Memphis Tigers today against the Wichita State Shockers in this one. As you said, Roman, quick 4-0 start, and then just back to awful shot selection, way too many threes, poor defense, poor rotations, and just bad basketball. Like nothing good happened at all.
They finished the first half with more turnovers than made field goals. They had 10 right? First half turnovers and 9 field goals.
God. Oh my God. Yeah, this is a Celsius because I'm a little tired. This should be a drink. Like I need something stronger than just an energy drink.
They shot 3 of 18 from 3, 1 of 13 in the first half.
My God, man.
Let's keep going here.
I'm sure we could. We will.
Yeah,
we will.
Roman, I want you to come up with, you are what people love about you, Roman, is me and Francis are kind of the emotional people here. Like and Roman is just straight, cold, hard facts. So I want you to do me a favor. I want you to continue throughout this conversation during this podcast today. Just drop a cold, hard fact on us that is like, holy shit, like what just happened, right? Like that's what I want you to do. That's your role for today, because the numbers are incredible. Like the numbers they're insane. And again, I don't want us to be swayed, or not even swayed, but like there is not a lot encouraging that happened. The Tigers ultimately ended up losing this game by 15. It was damn near 40 at one point. Like it was like they were down a lot, and it was trending in a very bad direction. And I would say the only thing that really saved it was Francis's favorite player. Simon Majok actually came in and had a decent run in the second half that I felt like did some things, all in a loss. So it really doesn't necessarily matter, but there were some things that he did today that I was pretty encouraged by.
Oh, Kenny, don't get me really quickly, Ron. Don't. Thank you for bringing that up, Kenny, because if you didn't, I sure as hell was.
I know you
bring
were.
up
I know
Simon's game today.
I know you were.
He obviously you got to take whatever that 3-point attempt that Simon took with like 4 minutes, whatever that shot was. You kind of just got to take that with what you did get from Simon today. I know in previous episodes, Kenny, you talked about Tariq Ingram and the threat of Tariq Ingram.
Bro, he sucks.
There's no threat. There's no threat. No. The threat of Tariq Ingram is non-existent. I don't know what threat he provides on the floor.
The threat is he might fall down at any given point
maybe.
on the floor.
Or just set an illegal screen.
If he moves too quickly, he might fall down. Like
oh my God.
And listen, as a fellow out of shape, overweight big dude, I understand it. At any moment you can fall down. At any moment. So Tark, I'm not hating on you. I'm empathizing with you. I understand.
Yeah. But it goes to what I've been trying to say about Simon for a while. And this is me trying to be remotely positive. The threat of Simon is the fact that he's 7'1" with a long wingspan, and he can protect the rim to a decent extent. You did see him get bodied by Wichita State's big, but that's because their big has college experience and is much stronger and more filled out and just has played more basketball than Simon has. But Simon came right back down the court and got a couple and ones and showed that, he could at least play on the same floor as that dude, which is more than you could say from Tariq Ingram. From Warren he played very little today. But at least Simon gave you something, and he at least impacted the game, which we all know he can. It's just a matter of what is his stage of basketball development. It is still really low. He had there were clear miscommunications on out of bounds plays, some defensive rotations he wasn't crisp at. Yeah, that it is what it is with Simon. But if I could be positive in a game that was very negative, I like what I saw from Bradshaw and from Majok. If they can develop some sort of 2-man or 1-2 punch as a front court, that would be really good, I think, because Bradshaw had a decent game himself. But the rest of this team, man, my goodness, they just didn't have it. This was an awful performance from the Tigers. Got nothing from the guards, nothing. You had an Ashton Hardaway game against Tulsa where he just lit the world on fire, and then you go back to having an Ashton Hardaway game that we've seen way too often where he goes 1 for 7 and doesn't exist on the floor. And it's just the hot and cold of Ashton is just so frustrating because you know what he can look like, and then it's like 3-4 games in a row of just nothing from the kid. And like it was tough.
Yeah, and this is why if you are in the camp that Ashton Hardaway should not be a part of this rotation, games like this support your theory because, yeah, when he's hot, he does positive things from a scoring standpoint, but when he is cold, he is really cold, and he doesn't really do anything else to make up for a lack of scoring when he is not scoring.
That is such a good point. Yep,
it's unfortunate, but that's just where he is right now. I will say that Curtis Givens actually ended up playing pretty well. He had 11 points in the second half, so he did contribute to that push a little bit. So I think you got a little something from the backcourt in him. Thedford had 7 points and 6 rebounds and was inconsistent, with his playing time because he was in foul trouble. Bradshaw is probably Memphis' best player today with 10 points and 9 boards. He's actually recorded a season high in rebounds in back-to-back games. Yeah. He had 8, which was the season high at the time against Tulsa, and he had 9 today. We've been clamoring for Bradshaw to, step up in the rebounding department there for a while. And he seems to be doing that at least, at the moment. So yeah, we'll see if that continues. It's very, very ill-timed for Memphis that just as Aaron Bradshaw seems to be turning things around, everything else seems to be going to hell. And
I agree. He is absolutely Aaron has absolutely turned this season around. For personally, not for the Tigers, personally. He is very clearly the one guy who, even in the midst of all the stuff that was going on at the beginning of the year where he just couldn't stay in the game, was fouling out in 8 minutes of game time, just really, really bad situation. The one thing I did notice is that there was a level of energy, and sometimes that energy wasn't helpful, wasn't positive, but there was always energy there. And I think that consistent level of energy from Aaron has kind of flipped a little bit, right? Like now it's becoming a positive for him. And I can appreciate what he's done over the last couple of games, kind of turning his season around.
He scored double-digit points in his last 4 complete outings. He obviously didn't hit that against Temple, but in the last 4 games in which he was actually able to finish because he, didn't get injured, he's also scored double-digit points there.
I want to say shout out to everybody that's in the comment section. You guys are blowing it up. Shout out to y'all. I know if you're in Memphis, it is nasty outside. The more snow is coming. It's gross. So I'm glad y'all are here with us. Everybody's got power and is able to join the show. We really appreciate it. I'm starring a bunch of comments, and we're going to get to them in a second. But I did see one that my dad lives like about a half mile from me. And he saw this comment in the comment section and slapped me in the back of the head. And he doesn't even live here. Like that's how disgusted he was by this comment. And I need to find it. Oh man, I thought I had started. Let me find it real quick. Oh my gosh. We were talking about Aaron Bradshaw, and we were talking about Simon Majok. It's in here. Hold on. Sorry, this is terrible podcasting. Good Lord.
Is it?
Yes, it's the one. It's the one.
Where is it?
Yeah, bro.
There we go.
Let me tell you something. My dad slapped me in the back of the head by this statement right here. Keith Lee.
Yeah, let's relax.
Let's relax.
Let's
relax.
Eric, shout out to
dog.
you, man. You've been very active very active. You show us love, and we appreciate it. And I'm sure you're being hyperbolic, Eric. I'm sure you are.
My
But,
dad still to this day, I don't think a week goes by, Francis, where he doesn't mention Keith Lee to me.
Oh, same, dude. Oh, same.
Like, he doesn't mention Keith Lee and how great Keith Lee was. Like, Kenny, you don't understand how good Keith Lee was. And I'm like, you're right, because I wasn't born yet. So, which is saying a lot, because I'm getting up there. Is he talking about Keith Lee, the food reviewer?
Former NXT champ Keith Lee.
Yeah, that's funny.
The AEW
That's
wrestler.
good.
You ain't talking about the
That's
Memphis
good.
Tiger, are you? The guy that's got his statue or his picture up on the wall in the Hall of Fame, right? Like, I know you're not
That's
talking
hilarious.
about that guy. Man,
That's
listen,
funny.
there's a bunch of comments, and I'm gonna say, well, listen, I hyped Roman up a few minutes ago and said, "You're that guy. You're this." Everybody agrees. Roman is great. Roman is the serious journalist. Roman is awesome. I didn't mean for this to turn into
Roman.
a shout out Roman episode. But
No,
let's
I'm
shout
all
you
for
out,
it. We
Roman.
love
Roman, you're the man, dude.
He's
You're
the
really,
man. Roman's the
I
guy.
mean, I don't know if no one on the court is playing well, the positivity has to go somewhere. So I'll gladly absorb it.
You'll take
There you
it.
go.
'Cause, hey,
Yeah.
let's
I'll
be
gladly absorb it.
honest. At the beginning of the year, Roman was not getting a lot of positivity coming from Tiger fans. They were not happy with him at the beginning of the year.
Hey, I mean,
No, man.
we know who Roman. He's never afraid to say what we're thinking, but
Exactly.
he's never afraid to say it. You know, that's why we love the guy. That's why
Shout out
Roman's
to
the man.
Roman. Roman is a
Absolutely.
realist. Shout out to Roman the man. Yep.
Absolutely.
Roman just keeps it a bean. Roman just states facts.
I love this. We can just do this for 45
Let's
to an
do
hour. I
this.
love
Man.
this.
Everybody,
Yeah,
everybody
this is-
put in the comment
this is
section.
better.
What do you love about Roman Cleary?
This is
Put it in-
great.
like-
I love it.
This is the reverse of what happened to Mike Tomlin. Like love in the beginning, hate at the end.
we
I had
Well,
hated the-
I'm sorry.
had
about
hated
you
the
being head
beginning.
coach.
dude.
I'm sorry.
If I'm gonna crash out if we talk about that right now. Like,
Yeah, we're not
Cannot-
going to.
we're going to at the end of the show. We are.
oh
Talking
gosh,
we are talking
Yeah,
about
man,
100%.
I would like
We-
everyone.
we-
Let's all
I
say
do
prayer
not want
for
to tell
Roman
Mike
and the
McCarthy.
Steelers.
No,
We're talking Mike McCarthy. at
Everyone,
the end.
Oh my
everyone
God.
say a prayer for
Everybody,
the Pittsburgh Steelers hiring Mike McCarthy as their head coach. Everyone say a prayer. My goodness,
oh my
what a
God.
decision!
I woke
What
up.
a choice!
I woke up and I was like,
What a choice!
Damn
Me
it.
too.
You said what? You said who?
No,
Who did
we'll go
y'all
back
get?
to let's go back to Tiger basketball before
Yeah,
Roman
sorry.
crashes out. Before Roman crashes out on all of us. No, we showed love to Simon. We showed love to Brescia, and I think they deserve it. They seem to be the only two dudes on the floor who wore Tiger and Curtis. Curtis also, good game as well. They had a pulse today, but am I being too hyperbolic when I say I'm worried about Doug? I am a little worried. Like he has not taken any leap. We know how important he was in the beginning of the year. He's still important now. But I'm worried about him. He's not turning the corner off of screens quickly. He seems to be afraid to try and finish at the rim. His shooting has fallen off. His efficiency is awful. His field goal, I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it has to be low, his field goal percentage. And he still has turnover issues. Am I being too doomsday by saying that I'm worried about Doug McDaniel?
Sorry, I'm listening. Go ahead.
No, I'm asking. Like, is it too pessimistic of me to say that I'm pretty worried about Doug?
Doug is. While he might be the best point guard on this team, that's not saying a lot. Like,
Man,
am I wrong,
Doug-
Roman?
I mean, Doug is another guy that can have his ups and have his downs, and they fluctuate at a really extreme level. Like when the highs are there, they're really high, but when the downs are there, they get really down. Like just a couple of games ago, Doug McDaniel was this rebounding machine, leading the Tigers' efforts on the glass, and now he shows up today and basically does nothing. I mean, to his credit, he was out for a decent portion of the second half after getting kind of banged up on that screen, but he was he was very ineffective before that, and he was very ineffective upon his return. So don't really know, if there was any real positivity that was missed in those 7 or so minutes that he was off the floor. It's it's just the issues that Doug has had in the past at other schools, where he goes through these lulls that can really, upend your team if you rely on him to the level that Memphis clearly is here.
Is it hard to say?
Shout out Anthony saying worst starter Penny's had. I mean, consistent starter.
I think he means starting point guard in Penny.
Yeah.
He has to.
Right. Yeah. But it's not.
It's interesting. Let's work through that.
I mean, he's easily the worst since Lomax. It's not even close.
Oh, Lomax was better.
I would take.
He's easily the worst since Lomax.
Oh, I take Alo just because of his defense.
Oh, man.
Doug can't really defend much. He's too small. It's an interesting point, saying for sure to talk about, man.
He had Alex from 2019 on. Starting point guard. Who was the starting point guard 2018?
It was probably Alex for most of the year.
Alex did play his freshman year. That's right.
Because was Jeremiah Martin even a point guard?
No, really? Jeremiah was a shooting guard.
Yeah, we had more or less. Yeah, especially on that team. They were an incredibly small team. So
primary ball, like combo guard, primary ball handler, but he was a scorer, not really a point guard. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Starting point guard. I would say to you that Doug is absolutely not the least talented.
I know JQ was also really bad towards the end. He started out the season well, but he was really bad towards the end. That last game that he had against Wichita, ironically enough, in the conference tournament that Kenny and I were there for, the infamous day where we made the 7-8 hours drive that had to go right back the next day. Javon Quinterly was unbelievably bad in that game. But I don't think Doug McDaniel is as bad right now as what Javon Quinterly was towards the end of the year 2 years ago. But
JQ had lower lows than Doug, but I think he had higher highs than Doug. About that, I think JQ had higher highs because you at least saw him. He could get to his spots a little bit better than Doug can right now. He had a solid jump shot. He still had decent finishes at the rim. So I'd say JQ's highs are higher than Doug's highs, but I agree with you that his lows were really bad. He just gave up. I don't know what. Yeah, that was our first year of the show. We don't really know who JQ was at the end.
JQ was way better early. Yeah, he was way better early. Good. He had game winners. He had. Y'all remember the
Tulsa game winner?
That UAB game when they brought them back from they were down by 20, I think, and then
he had a 7-0 run by himself to finish the first half in that game.
Yeah, it was incredible. I actually just watched that game a few days ago for the
really?
So it popped up on my algorithm for some reason. That I remember that game and sitting on the baseline and going, "Holy hell, that was crazy." That was a wild experience when Andy Kennedy got kicked out of the game. That was crazy. That was crazy. Crazy.
Look at us reminiscing on the 2023-24 season.
Oh, dude. We are down bad.
We're down bad.
That is how you know.
We're down bad.
That is how you know that this year has gotten to a certain point. Because you guys are now reminiscing on 23-24.
It's a fun one. That game in particular is a fun game to rewatch.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's a fun Tigers live too. that was a good one to do. That was a good time.
Let me see. Let me go through some of these comments. Y'all talk if there's anything else y'all want to go through. I'm looking at these comments real quick. Oh, by the way, real shout out, Memphis Finest. Shout out to you. Sent a group chat or a $9.99 to what is super chat. That's what
super
it's called.
Chat.
Thank you. Good Lord. Zach Davis is the most disappointing player on the team this year. With his size and athleticism, he should be dominating this league. He's a major missing piece on this team to have a good wing player. I don't disagree with you. I had a ballistic rant in one of our Tigers lives after one of the games. I think it might have been after the Baja Mar, where basically questioning is, Zach, do you want to just look like a basketball player, or do you want to be a basketball player? right? Like, do you just want to? Because like looks wise, there's nobody better. That nobody looks better out there in terms of what a basketball, a big wing should look like with the size and athleticism and speed and all those things. And I just don't understand like what it is he does. That's why him and Hassan Abdul Hakim are the two most frustrating
Hassan,
players for me.
Hassan, man.
They're so frustrating for this team.
I don't like Hassan's body language. Like that is the thing that pisses me off the most about watching him play. He's always like shoulder slumped, kind of like looking he's too cool for the game. The way he even dribbles, trying to put his head down, he's too loose with the ball, and then he just rams his body in and gets an offensive foul call. He had 4 turnovers today, did nothing with the ball in his hands except 4 turnovers. Hassan is so disappointing too, because you can say that about a litany of guys in this roster, and I said this in the last Tigers Live. Probably will say it many more times for the rest of this season. What pisses me off the most is we've seen how good they can be when they're all playing at their best. We've seen it, but that whatever it is up here mentally, they can't do it for sustained periods of games. They can't find that. They can't flip that switch and find a level of consistency needed to win basketball games. And that is the most frustrating thing, man. I agree with you, Roman. You talked about it last show. I agree with you. There is talent on this team, but the talent don't matter if they don't listen to their coaches and they don't play hard. It doesn't matter how talented they are. They don't execute game plans. It don't matter. The talents, it's getting wasted, unfortunately, with their attitudes on the floor and how, as a team, they just haven't really come together.
I know. It's also the fact that while there is talent, there is not as much talent as, say, a 23-24, for example.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that team had similar attitude problems that I think this team has in terms of, the effort and the buy-in, particularly towards the end of the season. But those dudes were so talented that they got away with it for a while, and they were able to roll off a bunch of wins against non-conference teams that turned out to not be as good as we thought they were earlier in the year. That's how they got up to number 10 in the country, midway through January. But when the going got tough and they got into conference play against all these teams that were hell-bent on ruining their year and taking them down, that's when they were more or less exposed. This team has, similar attitude problems, but they're the most talented team in the American probably, but they don't have enough talent to basically get by, not caring.
If you're 4-3, how do we keep saying that, Roman? How do we keep saying this team is the most talented team in the American? I don't get it. Like, I don't buy it. I don't think they are. They got dissected today by Wichita State. Like, another 4-3 team in the conference. Like, this team is just not. This is a mid-American conference talent team, everything at this point. Wouldn't you say? Is that fair?
I mean, they're certainly playing like it right now. I know that.
I don't. There is nothing about anything that these dudes do on the court that make me go, man, if something were to just click, they could run off and like someone said in the comment section a few minutes ago, this is a team that's going to struggle to win on the road against the American Conference teams. They're going to beat. They're either going to be they're going to play really bad American Conference teams, and it's going to be a tight game on the road, or it's going to be they're going to play the top upper tier of the American Conference, kind of where they're located, and they're going to get beat. Like, this is how this season is going to unfold. But don't be surprised if we look up at the end of the season and this Tigers team is bordering around 500 in the American Conference. Sure. Like, it just wouldn't surprise me at this point.
It's certainly trending that way because they're going to lose to FAU again on Thursday. It's likely going to happen. I don't care that it's at home. That's just the prediction I have right now. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if Memphis somehow pulled off the upset, but I mean, I just don't think it's likely because like the front court Memphis has no dudes who can handle what FAU does in that area, and FAU's guards are at the very least comparable to Memphis's. You know, they have guys that can shoot, they have guys that can score, and they've already pummeled Memphis once before. So why can't they do it again, especially in front of a crowd that could very well be scarce due to the winter storms?
Scarce for a lot of reasons, but one of the other reasons is the winter storm, but it's been scarce all year, right? Like this, it's been scarce the entire year.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but the building could be, but combined with how they're performing on the court and what the winter storms could bring there, like the building could be almost empty.
Yeah, no question. No, it's just the state of the team. It's the state of the team, man. It's, you know, we talked about this before. I think there's talent because we saw it in games where they played good competition. They showed how good they can be. But my biggest thing is just their basketball IQ, their buy-in, their give a damn, their care of to just play hard and execute game plans and not just jack up BS shots and not rotate and communicate on defense and not play hard. That's awful. Like that's inexcusable stuff from this Memphis Tigers team. And so this is just where we're at, you know. This is the state of the team. That's it.
Grizz Girl 179. I want to focus on that last part, that last sentence. It feels like this year is going to be the AAC, American Conference revenge year against our Tigers.
What are they getting revenge on though? The shell of what Memphis normally is.
Right.
Like
right.
Nobody on this year's team was on last year's team. These guys aren't getting revenge on nothing, really.
Well, they're getting revenge on the name, right?
Most of the players from these other teams weren't even on these schools last year. Like 70-something% of the entire conference transferred.
To push back, though, you know who are constants? The coaches who have been coaching against Penny in this program for years, who have always been hearing all this, all that about the Memphis Tigers basketball program. And they're looking at their school and their players like, well, we can beat them too. And then they couldn't do it last year, but they're like, all right, we got them now. Like there's no question in my mind that these coaches are enjoying the hell out of themselves of beating Memphis like this.
Yes,
watching this program in the state that it's at now.
Yes,
this has to bring a lot of these coaches a ton of joy. Hell, even the Wichita State coach, he's probably ecstatic. He's probably, I mean, not just beating Memphis, but like just to beat Memphis like this. Yeah. FAU, for them to beat Memphis like this, like they got to be happy about it. I do believe that.
I remember the Wichita State coach at last year's American Conference tournament after was it the first round they played Wichita State last year, I think. He had very salty words for the Tigers after that loss in the American Conference tournament. You could tell there was a level of frustration and just anger about losing to Memphis, especially with Colby Rogers on that team since he had coached Colby the year before.
Yeah, the refs also missed that goaltending call towards the end of that game. That if that had been called correctly, that could have really turned the game in Wichita's favor. So a lot of the saltiness and resentment likely came from that.
Yeah. Lost found the court, and I think she said this in the last Tigers Live too. Tulsa player said post game they see us just like Rice now. Oof. Tough.
My goodness.
Tough.
Hey, we beat Rice.
We beat Rice. Basically, you're a side dish, is what they're saying.
Hey, Memphis can at least be red beans and rice now.
Yeah, can we be the red beans and a red beans and rice? Yeah.
Like they can be red beans and rice. They don't just have to be rice.
There we go.
I do think I agree with what you're saying, Francis. These coaches that have been getting Memphis has been the bar for a lot of the American and the preseason hype, and Penny Hardaway gets all of he comes walking into their arena and he's a superstar. And so there's level, like, there's probably a lot of, as wild as this sounds, the most drama-filled people in the world are grown men in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of frustration and anger with Penny that he's even the head coach at Memphis, right? Like, did he even deserve to be that guy, even though it's been 8 years at this point? Like, Does he even deserve to be that? And so, yes, this very much feels like you're getting. I mean, you saw the head coach at Wichita State during a timeout today, like getting after the crowd because they were so hype about what they were doing. And I don't know if specifically if that's because it was against Memphis or whatnot, but I would definitely agree. This is a probably feels good to a lot of these American Conference coaches that they're able to do this to Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even just the coaches. I always feel like when Houston was in the AAC, there was always a level of huge respect for Houston, tons of respect. And then though Memphis was always giving Houston their best punches, would beat him every now and then as well, do more damage to Houston than anyone else in the conference. No one ever gave that same respect to Memphis, even though they were clearly at least up there with Houston in terms of conference ability. And now that Houston's gone, I'm not shocked that a lot of these coaches, these programs, they view Memphis as like, they don't deserve this hype. They don't deserve all this. And it's not even just the coaches. It's people who've always hated Penny Hardaway, who have always wanted him fired, who've always thought he didn't deserve to have this job. The John Goodmans of the world are probably having a field day watching this team play the way it is under Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, and the most disappointing part of it all for Memphis from this standpoint is that, they should be the Houston. They should be the Gonzaga of this league. They really have no excuse not to. They have far more resources than any other team in the league. They have far more brand recognition. This is a high major college basketball program operating in a mid-major conference. That's what Memphis is, and that is the expectation it has of itself. And when you are essentially slumming it up with the rest of the American teams that spent far more money on its rosters than you, that have far less nice facilities than you, losing these games, especially in this manner, it's going to create warranted scrutiny for sure.
Yeah.
But
shout out to Target. Oh, sorry.
But for these coaches that are, getting their supposed revenge on Memphis or whatever, I'm sure it's satisfying and well-deserved from their standpoint.
Yeah, shout out Target guy John Yakubian, my guy. I've known you for a long time. Thank you for watching Tigers Live, supporting the show. It's a big deal for those schools. We always relished beating Cincy, no matter how bad they were. Yeah, like it's at some point, schools like Cincinnati, Louisville, they were always viewed as, I guess, the heels of our conference. We always wanted to beat them, and Memphis was the baby face. And now Memphis is the heel that everyone wants to beat. Like, we are a lot of these school Super Bowls, as we said many times in the past. That's just the fact. And now that they're beating Memphis we're just a regular team in the American Conference, they gotta be happy. They gotta be happy about it.
There's a lot of
honestly,
questions. Go ahead, Roman. Sorry.
The one thing that I've noticed that the FAU and the Wichita State game specifically, I think just go to show how poor of a job this roster construction truly was. Like we talked ad nauseum about how the front court has been, constructed poorly. You look at a guy like Devin Williams at FAU, Will Berg for Wichita State. There's no reason why Memphis should not have players of that caliber on this team. If they can get to FAU, if they can get to Wichita State, I don't care how much of a money deficiency you have compared to power conference schools. If Will Berg's at Wichita and Devin Williams is at FAU, you should have a front court player at least of that caliber in Memphis.
You bring that up, Roman. Is it's a great point, as you always make. It gave a question to me. Do y'all think Penny focuses too much on reclamation projects out of the portal instead of actual talent?
I mean, is it hard to say anything other than yes, based off what we've seen this year?
There you go.
He certainly did this season, because in the past, Memphis has tried maybe one or two reclamation projects a year. Like Dane Danger, for example, was obviously a reclamation project, but that was really the only reclamation project that he was really going for there. DeAndre Williams he wasn't a reclamation project from a production standpoint, but he was from a mentality, reputation standpoint. Can you win with with a guy like that sort of reclamation. He did that as well. So he succeeded with them before, but
let's be even honest about it. Javon Quinterly was a reclamation project, right? Coming off of a knee injury. He had a lot of winning experience at Alabama. And that's one of the things, even when he was at, what was the school he was at before that? Oh my gosh. Villanova. Thank you. Yeah. His freshman year, they went to Villanova, went very deep they won their conference and went very deep. He had a role in that. Obviously then transferred to Alabama, and they won two, I think, SEC conference championships while he was there, went to the Final Four one of those years. But with the knee injury, coming off the knee injury, Alabama had Jaden Bradley and Mark Sears, and they said, yeah, you can go, right?
Yeah.
And there was a level of him needing to kind of reclaim some things that like some luster that was lost off of Javon Quinterly, and he came to Memphis, and it was a big pickup for Memphis, but ultimately that team just didn't work out, right?
Yeah. I just think you can go down the roster now. This roster, you can pick out more quote unquote reclamation projects than usual. I agree with you, Roman, that he has always done that in the
Bradshaw,
past.
Sincere, Zach Davis,
Hassan, Curtis,
that's already Curtis,
Ashton. You know,
like on a reclamation,
that's 7 already.
Yeah,
I would call it. Well, okay, maybe not. Sure,
I mean, he's moving.
Maybe not. Maybe
right?
Hassan is not a reclamation.
Up. Yeah,
sure, and he showed flashes of potential at his previous school, so maybe that's not a reclamation. So besides him, Zach Davis, like you can go down this roster and name a lot of dudes who Penny recruited thinking that he can help them get better and kind of revive their collegiate career. And unfortunately, you can only say that to this point, the only person who's shown something of an improvement is Aaron Bradshaw.
Yeah, maybe? The Aaron Bradshaw reclamation project. It took a while, but it appears to be working.
Took a while, yeah,
but it appears to be working. But guess what? It also took Dane Danger a while. If you really want to look at it, now Dane never plummeted at the beginning of the year the way Bradshaw did, obviously, but it took Dane a long time to be fully reclamated, just like it took Aaron Bradshaw a while to be quote unquote reclamated. The key to making reclamation projects work is surrounding that player with guys who do not have to be reclamated.
Yes.
PJ Haggerty did not have to be reclamated. Tyrese Hunter did not have to be reclamated. Colby Rogers didn't have to be reclamated. Nick Jourdain didn't have to be reclamated. He was who he was already. If you surround reclamation projects with guys who don't have to be reclamated, it gives you a much better, chance of success with that reclamation project.
And that is the answer to the million. Go ahead, Roman.
Problem with Aaron Bradshaw is that he was surrounded by a million other dudes who also had to be reclamated.
Yep. That is the answer to the $1 million question of why are we here? That's why we're here. There are too many guys in this roster who are brought in to be reclamation projects. And when you have too many of those guys, as Roman just said, it's not going to work. It's not. No matter how good they can be, if they're all it's just not going to work. And that's why we are here.
God, that was that little back and forth between the two of y'all was awesome. That was really good stuff. It's time to ask the hard questions. Michael Dawson wants to know, can we seriously say Penny should be on the hot seat? Alan Sims says, I love my Memphis Tigers, but I can't stand Penny anymore. Wook Dog says, if Penny loves Memphis, it needs to step down. USA Health Insurance Reform says, do you predict Penny still coaching this university in 26 and 27? All around the topic of Penny Hardaway's tenure and his future as the Memphis head coach. I know this is tough. These are tough conversations because inevitably what happens, and just so everybody that's in the comment section behind the fourth wall of what happens here at Bluff City Media when you start asking these kinds of questions. We're not afraid of these conversations because they need to happen. But inevitably what happens is your comments are then flooded post this conversation with vitriol and accusations of whatever, accusations of racism, accusations of, because hey, guess what? None of us on this panel here are black. And so like what happens is then you start to get accused of being something that you're not. And so we're just having this conversation, but there's not a hesitancy to have it, but we fully understand what's going to happen as we have this conversation. What are your guys' thoughts on Penny's future as the Memphis head coach?
As to whether he's at Memphis next year, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily the right time to really dive into the answer of that question, because there's still a season to be played out and in those types of things. What I will say is that when we were at a similar point 2 years ago with, the way that season ultimately went, the thing that I said after the conference tournament loss to Wichita in 23-24 is that if Penny Hardaway was, fired or let go or what may have you as Memphis' head coach, that would surpass, Larry Finch's firing as the darkest day in Memphis sports history. And I still feel like that would be the case. I know the chatter is hot right now, but deep down, I don't think anyone actually wants Penny Hardaway to get fired.
No.
Deep down, I don't think anyone who's from Memphis and loves this city and loves this program actually wants that. But at the end of the day, it is fair to raise these questions and to at least have these types of discussions, maybe not provide a definite answer one way or another, because I just don't know if we're there right now. But these discussions are more than fair, and they're quite frankly appropriate based off what's happening on the court right now.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think that the discussion is appropriate. The questions is totally fair to ask. For me, I don't think he should be fired.
Mm-mm.
I don't think so. I don't, even if this season continues on the negative downward trajectory that it's on right now. If you asked me this question on the last episode of Tigers Live of this year, Francis, should Penny Hardaway be fired? And Memphis, gets bounced in the second round of the AAC tournament, whatever. If that's what happens, I would still say no. I don't think he should be fired. Because, like you said, Roman, we were in the same spot in 23-24. Then what did he do? He learned from his mistakes, as we said many times in the show, as I said many times on the show last year. He learned from his mistakes and formed a roster that actually made sense, that actually had cohesion, that had 3-level scoring, that took Memphis to the 5 seed in the NCAA tournament and was a freak injury away to Tyrese Hunter from perhaps doing more damage, not more because they didn't win, but doing actual damage in the NCAA tournament, because they had a good team. That was a damn good basketball team that Penny Hardaway constructed after the disastrous season. I am willing to give him, no matter how the rest of the way the season goes, me personally, I'm willing to give him another chance to learn from his mistakes of this season and build a roster that actually makes sense. There's not going to be the issue with waiting for PJ Haggerty. There's not going to be the issue of waiting for Dan Danger. That is not going to happen this season because there's nobody worth waiting for on this team. Nobody. Like if at the end of the day, Penny's like, yeah, the rest of y'all, I don't want any of y'all coming back. I'm going to build this team newly from scratch. I wouldn't be upset. I like Simon Majok. I like Julius Thetford. I kind of like Curtis Givens a little bit. But if Penny really was like, yeah, new roster, I'm going to do this right this time. I'm not going to take my time. I'm not going to wait. I'm actually going to be aggressive recruiting early, signing guys early, going after the dudes I want and not waiting for people. That's fine by me too. But I will say, and I will stand by this, if next season the same mistakes happen, then I will be more comfortable with Penny Hardaway not as the head coach of the Memphis Tigers basketball team. I'll be more comfortable at that point.
Here's my thing. I agree, but I also will say this. 23-24 was strike one. This year, if it continues going the way it's going, it's strike two.
Right.
There cannot be a strike three. There just can't be.
Nope.
And furthermore, it's just not productive, to be in a place where you need a biannual kick in the ass just to field a good roster.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
You just can't. You cannot be in that place as a program and hope to be productive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, no matter how the season goes, I don't want him fired. Full stop. Period.
Yes.
If next season is more of what we're getting, then I am comfortable with him not coaching this team anymore. I will be.
I think I'm going to shift the conversation for a second. Firing Penny would be the darkest day in Memphis basketball history to me.
Yeah.
I was
Memphis
way
sports history to me.
Yeah, I was way too young. I was way too young to really remember the maybe not too young. I was not as in deep in Tiger basketball as I am now when Larry Finch was fired. I don't know all the history. I wasn't there when he was a player. All those things. But firing Penny would be a really dark day in the city's history. My question, and this is where I want to take the conversation, is does Penny want to continue to coach? Right? Like
that's also a question. Yeah.
And we don't know.
And I would say, like, it's very difficult to get into his head. He doesn't, as much as free willing as he is from the press conference, and Romans hears it every single time he talks to him. He doesn't really get that too in depth with his own personal feelings. Like, the only time I really remember him doing that was after that Wichita State in 23-24 when he talked about his mom, right? Like when he talked about his grandma, his mom, and how he had been, taking care of his mom the entire year and how rough mentally it was on him. I don't remember him doing that often. That one really sticks out to me. This season he has not, and again, Roman and I were talking about this off air a couple of days ago. He hasn't done many midweek press conferences. I think the last one was during the non-con. He hasn't. I
think it was before the Louisville game.
Yeah, it was before the Louisville game in the non-conference, which is very odd. He does more. He usually will do one midweek press conference every single week. Maybe once in a while he'll go 2 weeks and not have one during conference schedule based on the scheduling and how it works out. But to not have one since middle of December and then we're already almost in February is pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting to me.
And keep in mind, they had an 8-day layoff between Rice and FAU, and that was after a win. You still didn't have one,
right?
Which I think can maybe somewhat display where that whole ordeal might be at. I can tell you pretty confidently where he was at before the season, based off of the one-on-one I had with him down in Birmingham. At that time, at least, he did not sound very intent on leaving anytime soon.
I mean, you asked him the question, how are you still in the foxhole, right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Like, how are you still there? Great question.
Yeah, he seemed very determined and went out of his way to tell me, multiple times that I do not feel comfortable leaving until I feel like I've gotten the job done. But but then you've now had, 2 of the last 3 years go way south. Yep. Assuming that this year keeps going the way it's trending right now. There's still time to turn it around, obviously. But assuming this year ends the way we assume it likely will at this point, you've now had 2 of the last 3 years go not just bad, but really bad, like catastrophically bad. And, how much longer can a guy take this? Can take the scrutiny, can handle the failure of the feeling I'm sure that he has a lot of times of just feeling like you're not doing enough, that you can't get it done. I think going back to I think we just saw this with Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. The constant beating down year after year after year of never getting a job done, never winning a playoff game, never ascending his team beyond the, just the mediocrity,
The bare
if
minimum.
you will.
Yeah.
The bare minimum. That beats down on you, no matter how resilient and no matter how steadfast you are. Penny's been in this for 8 years now, and he hasn't accomplished, the ultimate goals that he set out to when he was hired. And it just goes to show, I mean, how long is he going to want to do this? There's really no way of knowing that answer unless he gives it to us by quitting or whatever. But that is another interesting point to bring up there.
I want to ask you
quickly, Kenny, just to add, it's everything what Roman said, and it's also I think it weighs on Penny that he's letting the city down, not just the team, not just his players, whatever, not even just his own expectations of himself. It probably weighs a lot on him that he's let us all down with the performance of his basketball team. He loves Memphis. We know that. We know he loves the city. We know he loves the Memphis Tigers. I think we know that he loves coaching this team, but he doesn't love losing. He doesn't love putting out a basketball team that plays for him, that plays like this, that shows no fight, that shows no effort, that gives up 22-4 runs. Like I was lost fan of court. I know in my heart of hearts that Penny Hardaway cares about this team and about winning for the city of Memphis. So I think it weighs on him a lot that he's not doing that because of how much he loves the city.
Yeah. Another thing that stands out there is that Penny Hardaway is now suffering from the same problem that he was quite literally hired to fix. You talk about the attendance earlier and the apathy amongst the fan base. Penny Hardaway was hired to fix the apathy and the attendance problem created by Tubby Smith. And he is now suffering from those similar issues for vastly different reasons, but he's nonetheless suffering from those same issues. So
I have a question for you. I want to
how that aspect.
I want to add another layer to it, and I can't help but reiterate this because I did share a little bit of my thoughts on this situation on the Anthony Sane show this week. You can check it out 1:00 p.m. every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's a fantastic show. Anthony does a great job on the show, but we talked a little bit about Penny Hardaway on the show, and I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on this. Do you think that it is wild to me that at 7:30 tonight, Alabama will be playing against, who are they playing? Tennessee tonight in Tuscaloosa, and they're gonna have a guy that is very familiar to all of us who have watched college basketball over the years back on their team, who hasn't played a single game this season because he's been playing professional ball, whether it's overseas or in the G League. A guy named Charles Bediako is coming back. And he's playing tonight. I don't know how the story of Charles Bediako is going to end this season, but he's playing tonight because he filed a lawsuit against the NCAA, or filed for a temporary restraining order for him to be allowed to play, even though he's been playing professional ball for this entire season. He is now back in Tuscaloosa to play against Tennessee tonight with an Alabama uniform on because he was granted a temporary restraining order by a judge who just so happens to be a six-figure Alabama booster. All right, let's just throw that out there. And so I guess my big question, my big takeaway, and my feelings about it is I think Charles Bediako's story and why he wants to play is really interesting. There's not really much outside of the fact that he only played 2 years in college and has eligibility left. And Dane Danger was a guy who applied for a waiver this offseason who was asking for another year of eligibility because of he played 3 games with Baylor his freshman year of college basketball and totaled 9 minutes in those 3 games his freshman year before an injury happened. Ultimately, the story is that Dane left Baylor because he was very frustrated with the training staff and how the rehab of Dane Danger's injury was happening, and left and played literally a grand total of 9 minutes his freshman year of basketball at Baylor. Ultimately went to Illinois, and then played his final year at Memphis last year, applied for a waiver to receive an extra year of eligibility due to the injury that happened and his transfer out of Baylor after playing 9 minutes. And the NCAA, and the only power really they have left, denied his waiver. And I guess my question, and the question I posed on Anthony's show, and the one I'm going to pose to you guys is do you think that there is a level of frustration in the fact that there wasn't the same level of fight for Dane, fight for Penny's guys, fight for by the university, by whoever it may be, to get Dane a waiver? There seems to be, to me, I wonder if the part of the frustration that Penny is feeling is that he waited a long time to get Dane back, and his counterparts at the University of Memphis didn't fight for Dane the way that other schools have fought for their head coaches and their guys. Is that fair? Is that a fair statement, or am I reading way too much into it?
I'll let you answer, Roman. So you're more familiar with the program than I am. So go ahead.
I mean, it's certainly an interesting point to bring up there. I guess what I will say is that, you know, I know there's this narrative that the NCAA is like against Memphis and whatever. I've never really bought into that. Usually Memphis's failures with the NCAA litigation are associated with Memphis's inability to properly handle it from that standpoint. Not exactly I guess phrase requests the right way, use the proper language, hire the proper people, and not take proper action. Like, for example, the whole James Wiseman thing was a complete debacle, because they directly spat in the face of the NCAA, and it not only got Wiseman suspended for longer than he otherwise would have been, it also triggered an entire investigation across the program that resulted in multiple serious, or at least potentially serious violations that nearly got Memphis a postseason ban. You have the recruiting violation that Penny got a couple years ago as well, and a few other things. Not the academic thing with Malcolm. It just seems like Memphis has never really taken many of the proper steps with the NCAA there, and it looks like the Dane situation might be another example of that. But also, Dane Danger in his waiver, in his eligibility, is, I'd say, a harder fight than the Charles Bediako situation, because with Charles Bediako, you see the trend of G League players, getting approved, and the fact that he had remaining eligible years. Whereas the entire argument with Dane Danger was, does he have another year? And, technically you can argue that he didn't, because he did play that year with Baylor. And there's another separate argument as to whether that year should count. Like, should he have gotten a medical red shirt even though he transferred to Illinois midway through the year? You can also say, well, maybe Dane should have just stayed at Baylor instead, because it likely would have been easier for him to obtain a medical red shirt in that case. So there's a lot of variances to that discussion specifically. It's that's certainly, though, a very interesting wormhole there.
What's your question, Kenny? Make sure I understand. Were you saying that
just
Penny feels like he hasn't been supported properly by the university in terms of fighting for these waivers. And is that what?
Yeah, like I mean, I don't think Penny came into this season thinking that Tarek Ingram, Simon Majock, Tierno Silla, and even to that degree, Aaron Bradshaw were going to be guys that he were good enough to play at this level, or to play for Penny Hardaway, a team that he could coach. When Dane Danger would have been probably one of the top big men in the entire country this year if he had gotten another minute, right? Got another season to play. And so there seems to be a level of trend happening when the NCAA exerts their level of whatever you want to call it, exerts their power in the only way they really know how to now, and that's an eligibility, right? Like you see it with the Trinidad Chambliss situation. You see him right now who, like, the argument is being made on Trinidad Chambliss's behalf because the NCAA has already denied his waiver eligibility, but he has sued. And part of the suing process is the argument being made is there is a level of money that is going to be coming to Trinidad Chambliss because of NIL at the University of Mississippi. You are going to deny him the opportunity to make money, and you're going to force him to lose out on. Right now, the contract with Ole Miss is $5 million next year for Trinidad Chambliss to play quarterback at Ole Miss. Yeah. And those are arguments, and the trend that we've seen is when you step in front of a court and you are the plaintiff against the NCAA, a lot of times over the last couple of years in these types of situations, the NCAA loses, right?
Yep,
they lose those cases. And so I don't know what the outcome
Diego Pavia.
Right. Like, I don't know what the outcome would have been if Dane had hired a lawyer and had sued the NCAA for another year of eligibility. The courts could have come back and been like, absolutely not, bro. Exactly what Roman just said. You left in the middle of the year after playing 9 minutes at Baylor and went to Illinois. You should have stayed. And maybe that could have happened. Maybe they would have agreed with the NCAA. But at least they fought for it, right? Like, at least they tried to fight for it. And so there's a part of me that wonders if the frustration that you see so evident on Penny Hardaway's face right now, the lack of just the exasperation on top of having a roster that is not they're not a good team. They're losing a lot of games. They're not hearing what he's saying. They're not responding to his coaching, but also they were never meant to be his guys in the first place. And the people that are meant to support him and to fight for him didn't fight for him for Dane Danger. Like that is and that could be wild conjecture. And it's just my opinion, but that's what I wonder if part of that frustration that you see on his face is coming from what happened in the offseason with Dane.
Yeah, you also have to wonder, did Dane really want to take the fight that far? Because you got to remember, by the time his waiver was officially denied or whatever, we were already in June. We were already in July. You know, guys were signing G League contracts and things like that. Like, did Dane want to,
it's a real question.
Try to, put up a fight that he could very well lose, and then be stuck in a spot where he has no real avenue into the NBA, at least for that year. Yep. And, and who knows what a potential overseas contract could have looked like for him, say, if the waiver got denied in September or October or something. There's just a lot of variances to that discussion there.
No, I think both of y'all make very good points. I think both of y'all are both making awesome points. It's a fair thing to bring up, Kenny, and wonder about if Penny doesn't feel supported by the athletic department. And if he really doesn't feel that way, and for whatever reason he steps down, there's nothing that anyone can say that wouldn't have played a factor into Penny's decision.
Right.
No chance. So it's a fair thing to at least bring up. But Roman, your points are also extraordinarily fair that it's a Dane thing too. Like, why would you risk that potentially and then cost yourself millions of dollars and a chance to get into the NBA? No, it's a fair thing to bring up.
It's all hindsight. It's all hindsight being 2020, right? Like, and I'm I'm honestly not trying to throw shade at the athletic department, Ed Scott, anybody. I'm not doing that. Like I think that this iteration of the athletic department, this under Ed Scott's leadership, has been incredible. I think they've done a lot of really good things and has positioned the University of Memphis in a lot of really good ways to be successful moving forward. I'm just talking specifically about the trends that we're seeing in terms of eligibility and the fight that some of these universities are fighting to get players eligibility. I just and again, I want to say, like, it is unbelievable to me that the NCAA is fighting a losing battle against. They have tried with NIL. They have tried with the transfer portal. They have literally created a system of unrestricted free agency for their players, for their athletes to continue to play. They gave another year of eligibility during the COVID seasons to players, saying, hey, I know we only get 4, but you're going to get 5 because of COVID. Like, players that there are players that want to play college athletics, and that has not always been the case. And for you to turn around and say you have a really good reason as to why you should get another year, but we're going to say no, makes zero sense to me. Like, I don't understand what the NCAA is doing in that regard. It just seems like real suspect and real arbitrary in how they handle things. Like, yes, Charles Bediako, even though it was the courts that gave him the permission, like, yes, we're going to allow Baylor to bring in a professional athlete to come play. Yes, Ole Miss, you can have your guy that's played 7 or 8 years in pro basketball over in France. You can bring him back and play. He's got eligibility. But for some reason, Dane Danger's not given another year. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And people can say it's because of, well, this is the rules. Those bylaws are being broken and bent every single day by the NCAA, every single day for other universities. But for some reason, not for Memphis, not for these mid-major schools, if you will. It's just arbitrary, and it seems so odd to me.
Yeah. I think the discussion that you're bringing up, Kenny, is totally fair. I hate the NCAA, as I'm sure a lot of people do. It's an absolute ass-backwards organization that's been ass-backwards since really its inception. Whether or not there's reality to the NCAA's different treatment of Memphis compared to other schools, or whether that's real or not, I don't know. But I've always felt there's a little bit of bias against the University of Memphis by the NCAA. But, we can't control that. That just kind of is what it is, unfortunately.
It's what happens when you have an organization that is a $4 billion not-for-profit that literally 3/4 of their annual budget comes from taxpayer dollars, and yet there's zero oversight by anybody in charge. There's no oversight whatsoever. They get to literally do and say and make up bylaws and make up rulings however they want, and there's no oversight whatsoever. And for some reason, our taxpayer dollars are paying for it, and nobody's fighting it. Everybody's just like, well, it's the NCAA. They're no, they're a nonprofit, $4 billion nonprofit that is funded by us. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I doubt this is what Teddy Roosevelt intended to happen when he first created the NCAA back in the early 1900s.
So crazy, man.
There's no way.
So crazy.
Absolutely. Well, look, before we get up out of here, I do want to tell everybody, please be safe out there in Memphis. It's not good outside. So be safe. Hopefully y'all are home. Hopefully power stays as long as it can, and y'all are stocked up. Be safe out there in Memphis, as I know the weather's not too good. So please be safe. Also, Anthony said earlier in the show, hey, on the bright side, we can go to Mugshots and have a beer.
Right. Not right now, because we're all
not right now.
Anthony, don't go to Mugshots and have a beer right now.
Yeah, not right now. But in the future, if this Memphis Tigers team continues to bring you down, go to Mugshots Grill and Bar. Go have a beer, have fun, be with good people, eat some damn good food. Like I was there at Mugshots early in January. The food was so good. Yep. Drinks were delicious. Y'all were there earlier for the Tigers live show against Tulsa. Mugshots is the best. So shout out to Mugshots Grill and Bar for sponsoring Tigers Live and also just for being an awesome place to go to. And then shout out to all of y'all in the comments. Y'all are so active and talking to us and giving awesome feedback. All of y'all are fantastic. All of y'all tuning into the show for Tigers Live. Thank y'all so much. I got nothing else to say. Anything else from y'all, gentlemen?
Nope. FAU's next up on Thursday, and I guess we'll see what happens.
And it looks like it was reported during the game that it looks like Memphis will have to stay in Wichita until Monday because of the snowstorm. So that will be interesting.
Yeah, no, Memphis International Airport apparently is closed. At least through the weekend there. So yeah,
it'll be interesting. We'll see.
Very, very unfortunate. Yeah. Hope they stay safe out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, University of Memphis basketball team, stay safe. All y'all watching Tigers Live, and even if you're not, for whatever reason you're not, which is pretty dumb to me, but y'all stay safe too. For Kenny Stubblefield, for Roman Cleary, I'm Francis Carlotta. Thank y'all for tuning in to Tigers Live. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Thank you for watching this episode of Tigers Live. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. We'll see you back here next time.